You're still watching Market View. This is the Tuesday edition. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the Innovators Association of Eswatini is at the very heart of Eswatini's transformation into a knowledge-based economy with a firm grip on innovation, entrepreneurship, as well as strategic partnerships. Now, the association is not just fostering creativity, but it is actively redefining the country's economic future, from supporting bold new ideas to bridging the gap between government and industry. The IAE is shaping opportunities that will drive progress as well as prosperity. But the big question then becomes, what does this mean really for aspiring entrepreneurs, and how does Eswatini position itself as a hub of innovation in the region? Joining us live in studio to unpack it all, Jose Rego, chairperson of the Innovators Association of Eswatini. Good afternoon, welcome to the program. Really excited for this conversation because me and you have met, but we had really short time to really discuss this development in particular. But let's start maybe by contextualizing the work that you do. I'll give you, let's say, a minute for an elevator pitch, if you like. Just a minute, Jose. What is the Innovators Association of Eswatini, and why does it matter now more than ever?
Thank you for this platform, Mr. Nmalun. So I'd like to just take it back a few years ago when the UNDP of Eswatini and the Eswatini government decided that it's important to actually put some context together on how innovation should work. The vision was in 2014 when we came together and assisting these two bold movements by the two entities on how to bring together innovation, entrepreneurship, and youth development and empowerment. The plan from way back then was to harness what we call the demographic dividend, which is how essentially, how does a country tap into the economic prowess of its youth? As the youth transitions to a different part of the economy, which is now the active laborers, how do you tap into that potential and make it work? As we go through all these problems economically and socially, innovation at the heart of solving problems. That's what innovation is. And innovation is where costs are taken down and things are done in a more efficient and in a more productive way. So innovation has been very important for all countries that have moved from developing to developed statuses. And how we found it to be best as an association is to make it easy for innovators to collaborate and associate and actually solve problems that are contextually in their spheres. I'll give you an example of problems that we face as the young people today. Access to information, which is really what the knowledge economy is about. That's what the IAE is trying to foster as a collaborative enterprise or association or organization with both public sector, private sector, and the youth.
It's quite interesting. You speak about 2014. I believe that is, what, 11 years now?
Yeah.
And you speak about how innovation has been critical for nations to move, to transition from developing to developed status. And yet, you look at 2014, this is 2025, we are still developing.
Yeah.
And now we hear about this catchy phrase, knowledge-based economies. It sounds like a grand vision. I want you to talk to me about it. What are some of the tangible steps that the Kingdom of Eswatini is taking to move us from concept to reality?
Well, the knowledge-based economy is essentially the medium to which the locals in a country can tap into the information that they generate amongst themselves. If you look around us, our society is driven by what you know. From when you get up in the morning, you must know what time to get to a place you're going to, to something as basic as how do you get something done like registering a company. If you don't know these simple steps and actually know how to go about solving these problems, you tend to have a barrier to getting things done. So if you now bring the cost to access information down to a point where anyone, anywhere, anytime can have access to critical information, you're more likely to bring down the cost of getting things done themselves. So in our case, we believe that the most important information in this country is how to get things done with government. The public sector is the most important sector because that's where everything centralizes. Absolutely. From the time you're born to the time you get your first vaccine shot, to the time you get your first ID, to your first driver's license, if you don't lose them, all the way up until you retire in life. Yeah. You go through what we call life events. And each life event requires that you touch base with the public sector or a public service office.
Right.
Unfortunately, we tend to not know certain things about how to get things done with government. So with the Ministry of ICT's bold vision to bring all information to the forefront, in fact, every other ministry is prioritizing this part of their service improvement. We believe that if all information can be accessible at the fingertip, then you can imagine that the cost for you to travel from where you come from, be it in Nhlangano, Eswatini, Spofaneni, to get a service done, it's easier now when you have information in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
So bring those costs down, start seeing what the changes will be when you can now save on costs, you can now save on travel, and you can get things done faster. We believe that's one way that the knowledge-based economy can be actually tangible in our society.
And we need more than just, what Mr. Inati called the biggest gig in town, more than just government in your hand. And by the way, which you have indirectly just endorsed right now.
Yes.
There's roadblocks.
Yes.
To, obviously coming up with more ideas or rather concepts like government in your hand, which we need, urgently right now. Let's talk about that, innovation, which is more than just ideas. What are some of the biggest roadblocks right now that innovators as well as entrepreneurs in Eswatini are currently experiencing or facing? And how does the IAE want to help them in terms of breaking through?
That's an actually interesting question, because just yesterday we were at the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and Trade's consultation with stakeholders at the UNDP.
Yeah.
It was hosted by the Ministry and UNDP, facilitated by Mr. Eswatini.
The Citizens Economic Empowerment Act regulation.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes, that's the one. So in that conversation, we were just exploring what the real challenges are in this sector, especially ICT for our context. And the policies that are currently in place are sort of outdated in the extent that there are no ways of collaborating right now that are clear. I'll make a reference to the current RSTP Act of 2023. That's where everything is meant to centralize as a progressive direction in technology. But in implementing it, now we have to come around to the actual mediums of how to go through procurement, of how to go through partnerships, of how to go through regulating how technology must be moved from the concept of what an innovator or a thinker, a creative, comes up with, all the way down from prototyping the product to developing it, to putting it into the market, to getting the resources, to putting it out, and then getting it to be adopted. The adoption part is also critical. So we came across a couple of these stumbling blocks, but the outcome of it was positive because we got to see some of these contributions that would actually change how innovation can be done. For one, if you consider that innovators do need to be together and be in an environment that allows them to innovate without any hindrances, that's something that the public sector is responsible for in facilitating, because they are actually the centerpiece of the country. So that's one way we look at it. And as for the Innovators Association of Eswatini, we're intentional about the partnerships we're creating. We're intentional about the strategies we are part of. For one, we are looking to really play a big role in skills development, in capacity building, in promotion of what government is working on. As far as we innovate, we also want to see consumption and adoption being a centerpiece of how we go forward together.
I know archaic policies has been one of the biggest gripes that you have with our local context, particularly because they really do not foster collaboration. And I'm happy that you're intentional about, being in these rooms where these conversations are had to inform policy. And perhaps we want to take a moment right now to applaud the Ministry of Commerce for this Citizens Economic Empowerment Act and the regulations right now, the work that they are doing. It's going to be critical, but I want us to get into this age-old debate, which is, should government take a hands-on or hands-off approach when it comes to fostering innovation? Where does Eswatini strike the balance here?
That's a really big debate, and we hear it from all sides of the spectrum. This is government's job. When government wants to do something and they make a bold vision like an NDP, which is just moving the country forward in a period of like five years, the citizens in most cases tend to say, well, this is government's job now, let's not even meddle with it. But people in government are citizens as well. So first and foremost, we are all citizens, and this is all where we should come together and work together. The question of whether government should be hands-on or hands-off, things like the policies, government's main role is to structure the infrastructure, legal infrastructure, and the policies that enable the citizens to collaborate and work productively together. So their approach, from my perspective or from where we come from, is that we need them to understand what needs to be done at the grassroots level, which is what are the policies that can be improved on, and how can they be passed around to the country and to international partners.
Do you get the sense that they're doing that?
We do see the sense of it.
Okay.
We do see the intentions.
Okay.
Where it then falls short, and I think this is something that everyone can attest to.
Right, yeah.
We have cabinets and cabinets of policies that have been drafted, but then this is where the gap then comes in. There's policies and strategies and legal frameworks, and then the public doesn't get to know of them effectively. So when you have this gap, the information asymmetry, then even if government were to say we want to go fully digital in the next 4 years or 2 years or 3 years, if the public doesn't know how to go about participating in that, then you have a disconnect.
Yeah.
There's no collaboration now. You know something that I don't know, and you intend on something being done in your way, but you want me to work with you on that, and I can't now participate in that that vision, that future.
Yeah.
So the information asymmetry, which is again goes back to the knowledge economy,
Knowledge-based economy, yeah.
and the information society, information must be easily accessible. That's how the best economies in the world are built.
Okay.
Information is at the fingertip.
I'm afraid we have eaten away from our last segment, but if my producers are going to punish me, I will take that with an open heart. So thank you so much, Jose. We understand that Jose is, really advocating for quite a lot here in terms of, innovation and our digital landscape. Archaic policies that it should be changed, but he's also acknowledging that work is being done, it is being addressed, the knowledge-based economy that should also be addressed very, very urgently. I'm afraid we've run out of time. Let's go straight into our market analysis.